Video games are one of the only mediums that allow you to actively change how you want a story to play out. A movie, a song, a book, all take you down a predetermined path. That's not exactly a bad thing, as it lets you dive into the mind of the creator, but games are special because you are given control. The experience is so much more personal, but the vast majority of games don't seem to take advantage of this strength. Sure, there are games that will let you make choices, but do they ever really hold that much weight? They'll allow or even force you to make decisions, but I've never really found anything that puts as much emphasis on choice as the Fable series, specifically Fable 2. Its mantra is all about choice, but in my experience, it fails to deliver. But what if it didn't? Before I get there, let me explain how Fable 2 dropped the ball.
Hit 'em, baby!
It starts out strong. It takes the concept of choice to the extreme. The mechanics, the theming, the customization all revolve around it. I mean, when you've got characters constantly alluding to it, you know this shit is serious.
Go chase a chain of sausages, you vicious mutt!
Well done. Your actions continue to shape the world.
And that's where I feel Fable 2 has the edge on a lot of other games. Whereas many games give you options, they hardly ever affect the world around you. In Fable 2, even the simplest decisions can change the entire layout of a town. One of the first decisions you make in the game determines whether or not Bowerstone will either be one of the most welcoming areas in the game, or a horror-infested crime hole. These decisions hold weight. There are real consequences. Fable 2 then takes it a step further with its character morphing mechanic. You've always been able to customize your character in games, but not like this. While the lack of clothing options is pretty pathetic, Fable 2 offers you complete freedom to change your physical features over the course of the game based on your actions. There are two sliders that determine what your character will look like: good versus evil, and purity versus corruption. Depending on your decisions made throughout the game, you could end up looking like Satan himself, an angel on Earth, or just about anything in between. Even the most insignificant actions can affect what your character will look like, from eating a rabbit to stealing pocket change from a store. What I'm getting at is there's a huge opportunity here to make something special. These mechanics laid a foundation to tell an impactful story, a story that only a game could tell. But as it goes on, you actually begin to lose this ability to choose, almost like it was never planned in the first place. As you progress through the game, it becomes just another linear action RPG. You can be the most evil scumbag in the world of Albion, and your allies will pay no mind to it. No matter how good or evil you could possibly become, you're still the hero, and your destiny is to save the world by stopping Lucian. The ending here is just the icing on the cake. To those who have played the game, I'm not talking about this, and I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about this.
The new kingdom will have no place for fate or chaos, or hit.
Oh, I thought he'd never shut up. Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to kill him?
This ending hurts me, like Mass Effect 3 levels of hurt. Maybe you're wondering why. It's not because I wanted an intense boss fight. It's because in a game that, on paper, is supposed to be all about choice, you lack the power to choose at its most crucial moment, and when Reaver decides to take matters into his own hands, you might as well be slapped across the face by Peter Molyneux. The game obviously drives you to desire revenge against Lucian from the very beginning, but what if you wanted to spare him? About a quarter of the way through the game, my journey became more than craving revenge. It morphed into longing to stop a menace to society. I began to care about the world around me that I built. The ending represents everything that Fable 2 is, the illusion of choice in games. Upon release, this game got glowing reviews that in retrospect were pretty undeserved. As it stands right now, I feel like this game hovers just within the range of mediocrity. But what if it didn't? What if Fable 2 actually delivered on all of its promises? The opportunity presented itself for the developers to really capitalize off of what they've been selling this game on, and it shows. Like I stated previously, it starts out strong. You're presented with decisions to make that change the world around you, that matter, and you're reminded that they hold a certain weight. I think a branching storyline could solve some of Fable 2's problems, yet this could present its own problem. If you try to tackle this concept with an already established franchise, you could piss off a lot of people, but Fable 2 already had that covered. While this game takes place in the same universe as its predecessor, there are almost no links to the canon of the first game. It's the perfect excuse to start fresh, and because your character lacks characterization, a good versus evil storyline could really flourish. Carry the momentum. Keep making the player's decisions matter throughout the entire game. There could have been side quests in every new area that affect the economy or the aesthetic. Why stop at Bowerstone and Westcliff? Why not Oakfield or Bloodstone? In its current state, you can really only help the people of these areas. There's a distinct lack of evil, and it makes that route of progression a less viable option. Some people just want to watch the world burn, so let them. The story doesn't have to end with your character saving the day. There's so many more options, even down to the minute detail. Maybe the evil route could be a hard mode of sorts. It makes sense, as someone with a dark or sinister appearance would lead to a lack of trust from NPCs or even other important characters in the game, further affecting the story. As a corrupt character, you could have to work a bit harder to gain the trust of these other characters, only to manipulate them in the end to advance your own desires. It's just another way of making the world feel real, something many games haven't succeeded in just yet. I feel like Skyrim is a great example of another game that fails in the same way as Fable 2. The game boasts allowing you to do whatever you want and play however you want in a giant sandbox world, but it doesn't actually want you to. You're the Dragonborn, and you have a responsibility. You have to save the world. But what if you wanted to be evil and aid Alduin in his destruction of it? Hell, I would love to become a dragon priest and terrorize Skyrim. What results from trying to tread off the beaten path is a gimped version of the game. You'll be missing out on hours of well-crafted content, and even if you can get past that, NPCs will continue to remind you of what you're missing out on. You're always going to be treated as a hero, as Dragonborn, and I'm sorry, but to me, that's just lame. I can't shake how much of a flop Fable 2's ending is, because even with all the game's issues, a great ending could have saved it. An ending that let you decide what to do with Lucian, be it killing him and saving Albion, getting your revenge and taking Lucian's place as a tyrant, or even just sparing him. It could have had so much more of an impact than the lame set of rewards you're actually given. Fans would have let Lionhead know that this is what they want. We could have gotten the sequel Fable 3 needed to be, expanding on the strides Fable 2 took to innovate, and maybe it could have bled into even more games as well, not just Fable. This kind of storytelling plays to the strengths of all games. I really don't think games should be chasing Hollywood, and while some that go the cinematic route are fantastic, I'd rather see developers take advantage of the platform in the same way Fable 2 was supposed to.
Maybe if Fable 2 just nailed it, delivering on all of its promises with an ending that brought together everything the game stood for, we'd be seeing more games taking the same route today, telling stories that only a video game could tell. As for right now, I guess I'm just waiting on the next gen equivalent.